like Cn is equal to 2 into Cn minus 1 plus 1. Okay, Cn minus 1 represents how many moves we require to transfer n minus 1 disks from one tower to another tower. Okay, like that we have analyzed the logic and we have obtained this particular recurrence relation. Next, from this recurrence relation, how we can obtain the explicit formula. This is recurrence relation. We can say um, it gives a sequence like C1, C2, C3, C4, like this. We will get some sequence. Okay, the sequence can be can have two types of formulas. One can be recursive formula, another one can be explicit formula. But if you have recursive formula, what will happen? We have to, in order to calculate the value of nth number or nth element in the sequence, we need to calculate previous elements. Then only we could able to calculate nth element in the sequence. But if we have explicit formula, what is the advantage? Without calculating previous values, we could able to obtain the nth value or whatever the kth value, whatever the value we want. Immediately we could able to substitute in the formula, in the explicit formula, and we can obtain the element. This is the advantage of having explicit formula for the sequence. Understand what I'm saying? Yes. Instead of having this recurrence relation like this recursive formula for the sequence, if we have the formula like Cn is equal to 2 power n minus 1. This is what we have obtained in the previous class for the towers of Hanoi problem. Now if I give the number of disks as 5, then if you use this particular recursive formula, what will happen? We need to find C4, then C3, then C2, then C1, like this. We have to calculate all those values, then only we can get the value of C5. Whereas if you consider explicit formula, straight away we can substitute the value of n as 5, then we will get 31 moves. Okay, so this is having what you call advantage over this particular recursive formula with respect to the sequence. Okay, in other words, we can say whatever the recurrence relation that we have, that from that recurrence relation, if you calculate explicit formula, then that will give an advantage for us to find the nth number or nth element directly. This is what we have seen. Next, for this we have seen one method called backtracking. I have told you another name for this particular one. What is that? Yes, yes, please respond, ma. What I have told, what's the name of backtracking? Other name of backtracking I have told you in the last class. Yes, Hussein. By seeing this also you can say. What we are doing here, an is equal to an minus 1 plus 3. This is the recurrence relation. How we are solving this recurrence relation to obtain explicit formula is, whatever the an minus 1 term we are having, for the term, what we are doing, we are substituting the value of an minus 1 here. Okay, an minus 1 again, instead of n, if you put n minus 1, we will get an minus 1 value as an minus 2 plus 3, that we are substituting. Next, what is an minus 2? An minus 3 plus 3. Like this, we keep on substituting in this in order to obtain until we could able to generalize it. Okay, this particular method I have told you as substitution method to solve the recurrence relation. Yes or no? Substitution method. Yes, Hafiz?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Next, we have seen what is meant by linear homogeneous relation of degree k. It is of the form an is equal to r1 times an minus 1, r2 times an minus 2, so on, rk times an minus k. Okay, this is the form for linear homogeneous relation of degree k. If you are having degree as 3, then we will be having how many terms here? n minus 3. Like this we can consider. Now you consider example, cn is equal to minus 2 times cn minus 1. So it is of the form this particular one only, right? Up to this we can consider. So this is a linear homogeneous recurrence relation. Whereas if you consider an is equal to an minus 1 plus 3, here we are not having any constant terms, but in this example we are having constant terms, so it is not linear homogeneous recurrence relation. And consider fn is equal to fn minus 1 plus fn minus 2. Here r1 and r2 can be considered as 1 into fn minus 1, 1 into fn minus 2. So it is of the form an is equal to this particular one, so we can consider this as the linear homogeneous recurrence relation of degree 2. Next recurrence again you consider gn is equal to g square n minus 1 gn minus 2. It is again not satisfying the that particular form. It is not following that form, so it is also not linear homogeneous recurrence relation. Okay, now coming to solve why we are considering this linear homogeneous recurrence relation is, whenever we have a recurrence relation of this particular type, by using simple formula, by using simple formula we could able to give explicit formula for that particular recurrence relation. I am repeating once again. Whenever a recurrence relation is in one particular form, then straight away we can give explicit formula associated with this particular recurrence relation by substitution. Okay, we no need to solve explicitly. By using the formula, just what are the values that we have to substitute. If you know that, directly we can obtain explicit formula. That is what we are going to see now. Try to concentrate clearly. Now, whatever the recurrence relation we have considered as linear homogeneous recurrence relation, that will be in this particular form. Okay, is this clear? This we have seen already. An is equal to, it's the formula, an is equal to r1 times an minus 1, r2 times an minus 2, so on, rk times an minus k. That's what we are considering. What is the degree of this? Degree is k. Now we consider how many terms we are having here after for this an. How many terms we are adding to obtain an? How many terms we are? How many previous terms we are adding? Yes.
K terms.
Yeah, k terms. Suppose the degree is 3, then how many terms we will be having in RHS?
3.
3. So if we are having recurrence relation, linear homogeneous recurrence relation of degree 2, then we will be having 2 terms in the RHS. Degree k means k terms. Now for this particular recurrence relation, we can write same recurrence relation, we can represent in the form of a polynomial of degree k like this. X power k is equal to r1 times x power k minus 1, r2 times x power k minus 2, so on, rk. Okay, same thing we are representing in the form of polynomial. Okay, now with respect to polynomial, whatever the recurrence relation we have taken, if you write in terms of polynomial, that we will be calling as characteristic equation. I am repeating once again, whatever the recurrence relation we have, with respect to that recurrence relation, if you write associated polynomial degree of k, that we will be calling as characteristic equation. Okay, let us see one example, then you this thing will be clear. Like you consider up to this, like degree k degree 2 only, then how many terms will be having? An is equal to r1 times an minus 1 plus r2 times an minus 2, up to this only. Yes or no? Only 2 terms we will be having. Is it clear till this point? If the degree is 2, then n is equal to r1 times an minus 1 plus r2 times an minus 2. Now, what is the characteristic equation associated with this? Is x power k. What is k?
Degree.
Degree. What is the degree that we are considering now?
2. 2.
2. So x power k, which is nothing but x square, is equal to r1 times r1 times x power k minus 1. That means r1 times x1, okay, or x we can consider, sorry, r1 times x plus uh, complete it, r1 times
R2.
x, just r2. Yeah. So this is the characteristic equation for a recurrence relation of degree 2. Okay, now this can be written as like this as well. Yes or no? X square minus r1x minus r2 is equal to 0. This is the characteristic equation. Now, with respect to this characteristic equation, roots, we can classify, we can have two formulas. Like, what is the objective? Main objective of our discussion is whatever the recurrence relation we have, for that, uh, we wanted to give direct formula that we can call it as explicit formula. So how we can obtain explicit formula is by substituting here depending upon the case. There are two cases exist with respect to the characteristic equation. Here we are having x square minus r1x minus r2 equal to 0 as the characteristic equation of the recurrence relation. This is the recurrence relation of degree 2. Now, if this characteristic equation is having two distinct roots in the sense, we can have s1 and s2 as two roots, and s1 is not equal to s2. That's what we can consider as a distinct. Understand what I'm saying? Yes. Let us consider x square minus 4x plus 4. What are the roots? X square minus 4x plus 4 equal to 0. What are the roots? You please tell. Roots of this quadratic equation. 2. How many roots we will be having for a quadratic equation? 2 roots, right? What are those 2 roots? 2 only.
2,
2, 2. Now, if you consider this as S1 and S2. Now, S1 is equal to S2. Then we cannot consider these two as distinct roots because S1 is equal to S2. These two are not distinguishable from one another, one to other. So, these are not distinct roots. Whereas if you consider x square minus 3x plus 2, then we will be getting distinct roots definitely. Understand? X square minus 5x plus 6, we will be getting distinct roots. Like this, distinct roots if we have for the characteristic equation, whatever the equation we obtain from the recurrence relation, then explicit formula is straight away we can say an is equal to, an is the requirement, right? What is the requirement is, like we consider here cn is the requirement, cn formula we wanted to obtain. Similarly, an formula we will be obtaining here as u into s1 power n plus v into s2 power n. This is the formula. Straight away we can substitute in this. An is equal to, what's the formula? U into s1 power n plus v into s2 power n. What are s1 and s2? Now you tell.
Distinct roots.
Distinct roots. Yeah, distinct roots of the characteristic equation. Okay, this is the characteristic equation we are considering. For this characteristic equation, two distinct roots exist. Those are S1 and S2. Then direct formula is U into S1 power n plus V into S2 power n. Now S1 and S2 we know, and n is what you call generalized formula, so we need not worry about n. But what are the values of U and V? This is the question. Try to understand this. Although this is the direct formula, we know the values of S1 and S2. Why? Because those two are distinct roots of the characteristic equation. But how we can obtain U and V is by substituting. We will be having initial conditions, right? Like you consider mm, yeah, towers of Hanai only. If we have only one disk, how many moves we have to perform?
One.
Only one. If we have only two, then hmm, if we
Three.
have if you have two disks, then three moves. Similarly, you consider Fibonacci series. Fibonacci series, nth Fibonacci number we have to calculate. That's what our objective. Then what is the first number in the Fibonacci series? Hmm. First number. First
One.
number. First number you can consider as 1. Next, second number.
1.
Second number is also 1. So these are the initial conditions. Or we have used another term like base cases. You consider factorial program that can be solved by using recursion, right? Now factorial of 1 we know that as 1. So first number in the sequence is 1, that we know. Factorial of 2 is 2. These two values we know. Based upon these two values, we will be obtaining these values of U and V. Now you see, an is this. This is the formula to calculate an. But we know initial values. Initial values are nothing but a1, a2. In some sequence, initial value can be a0, a1. But you need not worry about what is this a1 or a2. Just what's the value of a1? Just if you substitute in this u into, we know already s1. S1 can be some value. Let us say this is 2. Just I am assuming S1, that is one of the roots as 2. Then 4 into 2 power n. And V should be distinct from, V remains as it is. S2 is distinct from S1. So let us assume this as a 3. 3 power n. We have obtained. And this is equal to A1 value we know as 1, let us assume. Because initial conditions we know, right? For any recurrence relation, we will be having what you call generalized formula, that is recursive formula, and initial conditions. Now by using this particular one, we have obtained one equation. Similarly, A2 value we can obtain as what's the A2 value? U into 2 power
2 square.
2 power 2 plus V into 3 power 2. And let us assume A2, that is the second term, as 2 itself. Anyway, this is 1. This is 1. Why? Because A1 we are calculating. So 2u plus 3v is equal to 1. And here 4u plus 9v is equal to 2. By solving these two equations, we will be obtaining what is the value of u and what is the value of v. If you substitute these two in this particular explicit formula, then we will get actual formula. Got it? In this particular one, we know already values of S1 and S2, and we have obtained values of U and V, so that we can able to get what is AN. AN will be some constants power n plus or minus some constant power n. Like this, we will be having AN. Okay, this particular formula we will use whenever the characteristic equation is having two distinct roots S1 and S2. Is it clear? We will see the example. You need not worry about how we can use this and all. Just if you understand this intuition, that's fine. Yes? Any doubts? Shall we see example?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let us consider this as the recurrence relation. This is the recurrence relation. How many terms we are having in the RHS?
2 terms.
2 terms. So it is of it is linear homogeneous recurrence relation of degree 2. Now we have already initial conditions. C1 is equal to 5, C2 is equal to 3. Like earlier we have considered A1 is equal to 1, A2 is equal to 2, or even you consider Fibonacci series. In that A1 is equal to 1, A2 is also 1 only. You consider towers of Hanai problem. In that A1 is equal to 1, A2 is equal to 3. Like that, depending upon the problem, we will be having initial conditions. Now in this particular problem, initial conditions are C1 is equal to 5, C2 is equal to 3, and the recurrence relation is Cn is equal to 3 times Cn minus 1 minus 2 times Cn minus 2. Now what is the characteristic equation associated with this this particular recurrence relation? How we can write? X square is equal to 3x minus 2, isn't it? This is what the recurrence relation, what you call characteristic equation. Why? Because it is of degree 2. So x power k is equal to r1 into x power k minus 1 plus r2 into x power k minus 2, so on. We will be having, as here the degree is 2 itself, so we will be having like this. Is it clear how we have obtained this recurrence relation? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Next, now what are the roots of this particular characteristic equation? That is what our interesting point. X square minus 3x plus 2 equal to 0. What is the recurrence, what you call roots? Roots are
1, 2.
1, 2. Are those distinct or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So S1 value is 1, S2 value is 2. So these two are distinct. So we can use this particular explicit formula directly. So an is equal to u into S1 power n plus v into S2 power n. Now we know that initial terms, that is C1 is equal to 5 and C2 is equal to 3. So by using that, if you substitute here, C1 is equal to u into S1 power n means 1 only, plus S2 v into S2 power n, that is v into 2 power n. 2 power n is nothing but 2 power 1. Why? Because n value is 1 here. So u plus 2v is equal to, what's the value of C1? 5. Next, C2 is equal to, now you tell, u into
1.
Yeah, u into 1 square actually. Yeah, u into 1 square plus
V into 4.
yeah, v into 2 square. It is nothing but 4. Okay, v into 4 is equal to, what's the value of C2 given? 3. So if you solve these two, what values we will be getting? Just by subtracting this, what we will be getting? V is equal to minus 1, isn't it? Here we will be getting minus 2v and here 2. So v is equal to minus 1. If we substitute this particular v value in any of these two, then we will be getting u value as 7. Okay, now we have obtained what are the values of S1 and S2 and what are the values of u and v. Now by using this particular formula, an is equal to u into S1 power n, v into S2 power n. This is there in this particular theorem itself. An is equal to, what is the formula? U into, what is the value of u? 7. Then what is S1? S1 is, what is S1 ma?
S1 is 1.
Yeah, S1 is 1. So 7 into 1 power n, which is nothing but 7 itself. Next, plus v value is, v value we have obtained as
Minus 1.
minus 1. So minus 1 into minus 1 times S2 is 2.
2 power n.
Yeah, 2 power n. So 7 minus 2 power n. That is what the explicit formula that we will obtain for this recurrence relation. For this recurrence relation, we will obtain the explicit formula as 7 minus 2 power n. Is it clear? Just we are trying to write the characteristic equation. Based upon that characteristic equation, we will obtain roots. If roots are distinct, then straight away we can apply this formula. Cn is equal to, or an is equal to u into s1 power n plus v into s2 power n. And by using initial conditions, initial values, we could obtain u and v values. And if you substitute u and v values and s1 and s2 values in the explicit formula, then we will obtain finally what you call formula for the recurrence relation. That is the solution for the recurrence relation. Is it clear? We'll see another example. Are you having any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let us see the other case, like if s1 and s2 are equal. If you consider this particular characteristic equation, we have obtained two roots as 2 and 2. So s1 s2 both are same, so we don't have distinct roots, so this particular condition we cannot apply. This case is not satisfied. Now we consider this particular one. We are having a single root, that is, of course s1 and s2 are same, so single root we are having. Then what is the explicit formula? Is u into s power n plus v n into s power n. Okay, earlier we were having like s1 power n v into s2 power n, but as we are having only single root, and the formula becomes here u into s power n plus v, this n is added extra, then s power n. This is the explicit formula. Now let us see the example. Yeah, you consider here dn is equal to 2 into dn minus 1 minus dn minus 2. It is of degree, linear recurrence, homogeneous recurrence relation of degree 2. So what is the characteristic equation for this? X square minus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Okay, this is the characteristic equation. X square minus 2x plus 1 is equal to 0. Now if you obtain the roots, what will be the roots? Roots are 1 and 1, isn't it? So are we having distinct roots? No, because 1 is equal to 1. So we have to apply second case. What is the formula? Explicit formula. Explicit formula is an is equal to, yeah, please tell me, u into
S power n plus v into n s power n.
Yeah, v into n s power n. Now what is s value? S value is 1 only. So you next, by considering d1 1.5, that is d1 is equal to 1.5 is equal to u plus v, isn't it? Because n value is 1. Next, by considering d2 is equal to 3, just you substitute 2 here. What we will get? 1 power 2, which is nothing but, next 1 power 2 1 only. Next, v into n is 2, so v into 2, and here 1 power n 1 power 2, that will be 1 only. So u plus v is equal to 1.5, u plus 2v is equal to 3. Just by subtracting we will be getting v is equal to, what's the value of v?
3/2.
3/2. Yeah. And what's the value of u?
0.
0. Now we have obtained what are the values of u and v, and we know already what's the value of s. So if you substitute here, u value is 0, so this term will be 0, and v value is 1.5. So 1.5, whatever the n we have, that will remain as it is. Then s power n, that is 1 power n, so that will become 1 only. So an is equal to, what's the value? An is equal to 1.5 n. This is the explicit formula. Is it clear? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Like this, we can obtain explicit formula for the recurrence relation. One last example we will see with respect to this. Now let us consider Fibonacci series. Fibonacci series, what is the recurrence relation? Fn is equal to Fn minus 1 plus Fn minus 2. Previous two terms we will be adding to get the next term. Now what are the initial conditions or initial values? F1 is equal to F2 is equal to 1 itself. Now by using this particular recurrence relation, what's the characteristic equation that we can obtain? This is x square is equal to x plus 1, isn't it? X square is equal to x plus 1, that is nothing but x square minus x minus 1 is equal to 0. This is the characteristic equation. What are the roots for this particular quadratic equation? Is like minus b plus r minus square root of b square minus 4ac by 2a. That formula we can use. Then we can obtain s1 value as like this, s2 value as like this. Now, are these two distinct roots or same roots?
Distinct.
Distinct. So if we have distinct, then what's the formula? Sn or an is equal to
U into S1 power n plus V into S2 power n.
yeah, u into s1 power n. That's what we will take, plus v into s2 power n, and we know f1 is equal to, that is first value is 1 and second value is also 1. So if you substitute here, then we can obtain u value as 1 by root 5, v value as minus 1 by root 5, and if you substitute u and v values and s1 and s2 values in the explicit formula, then we will be obtaining this fn is equal to 1 by root 5 and this particular one. Okay, this is related to solving recurrence relation. Okay, just in 1 minute I will brief everything, try to recall. We have started with what is meant by recurrence relation. A problem can be solved by using recursion. Okay, as most of you are from computer science, I can use the recursion word here. Yeah, so recurrence whatever the formula we have for the sequence, that can be represented as a recursive formula or explicit formula. So if you represent by using recursive formula, that we can call it as recurrence relation. Now for the recurrence relation, we will be having in general initial conditions or initial values. Okay, now how we can solve, how we can get the explicit formula? If you have explicit formula, straight away we could able to obtain nth term in the sequence without calculating previous terms. That is the advantage. That's why we wanted to find explicit formula for the sequence. Now starting from this recurrence relation, how we can obtain is, one of the methods is a substitution method, that can be called as backtracking as well, substitution method. By using this, just an is equal to an minus 1 plus 3. Then what is an minus 1? Again we can substitute in the same recurrence relation in order to obtain an minus 1. Next, then we will be getting the term called an minus 2. Again we will substitute in the same formula in order to obtain an minus 2. Like that we keep on continuing until we reach initial conditions. Then we can get explicit formula. This is one of the methods. Second method is, if the recurrence relation is of the form linear homogeneous recurrence relation of degree some k, then we can write the characteristic equation. Then we are having two cases. For this characteristic equation, if distinct roots are there, then one explicit formula we have. If same roots are there, then another explicit formula we have seen. Like this, whatever the recurrence relations we have, those we can solve. This is the gist of entire thing. Is it clear? Any doubts? Okay, now let us see another one. Like we have we have seen what is meant by set, right? What is meant by set we have seen. Now let us consider we are having two sets. Okay, two sets called two sets like A and B. Two sets we are having. A can have some elements like A comma B, and B can have some elements like C comma D. Okay, these are the two sets. Now what is the Cartesian product of these two sets? This is what we will see first. What is the Cartesian product? Is nothing but if A1, A2, A3, AM are non-empty sets. Okay, in our example, how many sets we are considering? Only two sets we are considering, A comma B. Now A comma B are non-empty sets, so this condition is satisfied. Then Cartesian product of them is the set of all ordered M tuples, A1, A2, A3, so on, AM, like this. It is nothing but we will take one element from this and one element from this, then we will obtain a pair, A comma C. Similarly, you consider another one element from this, one element from this, then we can obtain another one, A comma D. Similarly, what are the other pairs that we can obtain? B comma C, B comma D. Okay, now in this particular one, yeah, we are saying M tuples. Okay, tuple is nothing but this particular one we can consider as the tuple. Okay, as we are having only two sets A and B, we are having each tuple of size 2. Suppose if we have m number of sets, in the Cartesian product, how many elements we will be having in each tuple? If we have two sets here, then from each set we will be taking one element and we are forming a tuple. Okay, similar to that, if we have three sets, then we will take each one element from each set, then we will get a tuple of size. Yes, please respond, ma. Yes, Zian, Maruti, yeah, 3, yeah. Now you consider m tuple, what you call m sets we are having, then in each tuple how many elements we will be having? M sets if we have, from each set we will be taking one element, so in each tuple we will be having m elements, so that's why it is called as m tuples. Okay, m tuple. Now you consider Cartesian product is nothing but we will take one element from each set, like that all the possible combinations we will take, like every time we have to take one element from this, one element from this, one element from this, one like this, from all the sets we have to take one element in order to obtain tuples. So that is nothing but Cartesian product. Now if I give three sets, okay, A, B, C, A contains A, B, D, okay, A, B, D is set A. Next, C, D, let us say E comma D is B. Next, C is 1, 2, 3. How many elements we will be having, or how many tuples we will be having in the Cartesian product? Now you answer. A is ABCD, ABD, B is E comma, sorry, this is a C, let us say E comma C. Then capital C is, another set is 1, 2, 3. So how many tuples? 18 tuples. How we have obtained 18 tuples? 3, then here we are having 2, then here we are having 3. So total 3 multiplied by 2 multiplied by 3, it is nothing but 18. So 18 tuples we will be having in the Cartesian product. Okay, now let us consider an example. A is equal to 1, 2, 3, B is equal to ABC, then A cross B is the symbol to denote Cartesian product. Then we will be having 1 comma A, 1 comma B, 1 comma C, 2 comma A, 2 comma B, 2 comma C, 3 comma A, 3 comma B, 3 comma C. This is the Cartesian product. Now, this can be represented in the form of matrix as well. Here we are having 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. A is, I think, A is 1, 2, 3, B is A, B, C. Now 1 comma A. Like this we can have Cartesian product. 2 comma A, 2 comma B, 2 comma C. Like this in the form of matrix or table also we can represent Cartesian product. Okay. Now from this particular Cartesian product, now this is an important point, man. Try to understand. From this Cartesian product, that is whatever the all the possible combinations, from these we will be having certain subset. Okay, some subset we will be considering. Okay, that we will call it as relation. I'm repeating once again. If we have certain number of sets, whatever the Cartesian product that we have for those sets, from that Cartesian product, some subset we will be considering, that we will be calling as relation. Got it? We'll see the example. Of course, this cardinality also we have covered. Cardinality is nothing but number of elements in each subset, product of number of elements in each set. And now subsets of the Cartesian product. This is what our interesting point. Now, what we call that a subset of Cartesian product? Relation. Okay. Now you can see the what you call definition here. A relation R is a subset of a Cartesian product that uses a definition to state whether an M tuple is a member of the subset or not. Okay, fine. And now we will see the example. In not worry. You understand up to this. Relation is nothing but subset of a Cartesian product. Here we will be having the definition for R stating, of course, it is a subset. In addition to that, what is the characterization to determine whether one particular subset is what you call one particular tuple is part of the relation or not. Try to understand here. This is the Cartesian product, right? Yeah, 1 comma A, 1 comma B, 1 comma C, like this. We are having 9 tuples. Okay, this is one tuple, this is one tuple, like this. 9 tuples we have got. Now, if I give one tuple like 3 comma D, whether it is part of this or not, we could able to say, right? It is not part of, it is not belongs to this Cartesian product. Similar to that, we are saying relation R is nothing but subset of this Cartesian product. Subset of Cartesian product. Let us say A cross B is the Cartesian product. Now, if I give a tuple, if I give you a tuple A comma B, let us say, or X comma Y, generalization X comma Y, whether this X comma Y belongs to this particular R or not, or R of X comma Y is correct or not, we could able to say. Okay, that is nothing but R, as R is a subset of A cross B, whether this X comma Y is belongs to this R or not, or in between X comma Y this relation holds or not, we could able to say. That is what another condition. Although R is subset of A cross B, we should able to characterize, we should able to state whether one particular tuple belongs to this is following the relation or not, belongs to this relation or not, we could able to say. That is the second what you call requirement. Now you can read the definition. A relation R is a subset of a Cartesian product that uses a definition. Okay, for this relation we will be having a definition to state whether an M tuple is a member of the subset or not. Okay, what is this subset? Subset is nothing but the relation. Okay, one member, if you what you call one tuple, if you consider whether it is a member of this relation or not, we could able to state. Okay, by using this definition. Such kind of definition should exist. Then we can say that as the relation. Okay, let us see the example like X or Y. What does it mean? As we have discussed, X comma Y satisfies this relation in the sense X will belongs to A and Y belongs to B. Why? Because it is a subset of the Cartesian product. In the Cartesian product itself, we are having this definition: X belongs to A and Y belongs to B. And one more condition is X has a relation with Y. Okay, what is this relation? Capital R. Okay, suppose if we denote like this: X, R, then cross, then Y, then x comma y, all x comma y maybe belongs to Cartesian product, but it does not belongs to this particular relation. Understand the difference here? X or y, x is not satisfying, not having any relation with y. Yes, is this clear?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now let us say some more examples. Like we are having students, set of students as A and set of courses as B. Now one particular student has taken has enrolled in one course. Enrolled is the relation that you keep in mind. Enrolled is the relation name. Instead of R, you consider R as the enrolled. Now name of the student is Paul. Let us say Paul enrolled in so and so course. If this Danny not enrolled in so and so course, this can be represented like this. This is the what you call relation example. What can be the Cartesian product? Like we can have set of students like Paul, Danny, all these things. Next set of courses. Each one can be mapped to each student, can be mapped to each course. Okay, that is Cartesian product. But we cannot guarantee that all the students will take all the courses. So we can consider enrolled as the relation, and accordingly we can have some subset from the Cartesian product as the relation. I hope you understand. And another one is, even we can have relation across the same set. Like you consider one course is there, C1, and C2, C3, we are having like this several courses. Now for there exists a relation called prerequisite. That is for in order to enroll in one particular course, C1 and C, suppose C2, in order to enroll C2, C3 and C1 are the prerequisite courses. If you complete these two, then only you can enroll into C2. Then we can represent that in the form of relation. Relation name is prerequisite. Then how we can represent this is like this. This particular course is prerequisite for this. This particular course 1710 is prerequisite for 2910. Similarly, 2800 is prerequisite for 2910. Like this, we can represent, or we can have relation among what you call across single set itself. This is such kind of example. Is it clear? Yes. Yes, any doubt, ma? Yeah. Now these are some other examples that you can go through. One last point I will tell here is like we can represent this particular relation in several forms. Relation can be represented by using tuples, because it is nothing but subset of the Cartesian product. Cartesian product itself is a set of tuples. So subset will also be set of tuples only, isn't it? So as tuples we can represent relation, and as we have represented in the form of matrix, relation also can be represented in the form of matrix. This is the what you call matrix representation we can consider. Let us see, we are having I here, J here. Then if AI Bj belongs to R, that is there exists a relation between A and Bj, then we will be having 1. If A and Bj are not having that relation between those two, then we will be having corresponding entry as 0, either 1 or 0. Like this we can represent this relation in the form of matrix. Okay, this is second form. One straight representation is we can have tuples. We can have tuples, whatever the tuples which will satisfy, which are holding this relation, those all tuples we can have here. This is a kind of relation. Next, same thing we can represent in the form of matrix as well. as we have seen earlier, ABC here or ABC here, then 1 2 3 here. A comma 1 belongs to this relation means we will put 1. A comma 2 does not belongs to relation means we will put 0. A comma 3 does not belongs to relation means we will put 0. Like that we can have matrix representation. Another important representation for the relation is graph. Earlier we have seen with respect graph basics in initial classes, so 3-4 classes we have spent on that particular one. So straight away I can show you with confidence that you know it, the graph concept. A directed graph also we have seen. In that in degree out degree also we have seen how many number of edges coming into a vertex, that is called in degree. Out degree is nothing but number of edges coming out of a vertex, that is out degree. Now we will consider each element as the vertex. Each element as the vertex. Next, if one vertex is related to another one, that is one element is related to another one, we will form an edge. Okay, that too directed edge. Like this we can form a directed graph to represent a relation. Okay, this is the gist of entire representations of relation. Now you consider A is equal to 1 2 3. Now we are having 1 comma 1 1 comma 3 2 comma 3 3 comma 2 3 comma 3, these as the relation. Is this equal to Cartesian product? Last question. Is this equal to the Cartesian product? A Cartesian product A, is this same as Cartesian product? No. Yes. In Cartesian product, how many elements we will be having? How many tuples we will be having? A cross A Cartesian product?
9.
9. But here we are having a subset. So according to the definition also, relation is a subset of the Cartesian product. So it is satisfying the thing. Now 1 comma 1 1 comma 3, these are used to state whether one particular tuple, suppose if I give 2 comma 2, whether it is belongs to this particular relation or not, we could able to say. And we can represent it in the form of matrix as well, like 1 2 3 you consider, 1 2 3 you consider as columns as well. Now we are having 2 comma 3 in this relation, so 2 and 3 corresponding entry is filled with 1. Next 2 comma 2 we don't have, so 2 and corresponding to entry is 0. Next 3 comma 3 we have, so it is 1. 3 comma 2 we have, so it is 1. Like that we can represent in the form of matrix. Next same thing we can represent in the form of digraph as well. Here we are having 1 2 3 as elements in the set, so 1 2 3 we can consider as vertices, and from 1 to 1 we are having the relation, so there is a directed edge. Next 1 comma 3 1 2 3 there is a directed edge. 1 2 2 we don't have, 2 2 2 3 we have, next 3 2 2 we have, and 3 2 3 we have. Like this we can form a directed graph to represent a relation. These are the 3 representations we can have for a relation. Is it clear? Any doubts? Yes, any doubts, ma?
No, sir.
Okay, then you can enter your roll number and can leave, ma. Thank you.